Okay, you guys ready for my second video? Maybe I'll be a little better at it this time. Okay, so this is the raw image that we're going to edit. I was sitting here taking pictures of this pier, and then this girl came and set up her hammock, and at first I thought, great, but then I decided actually kind of works for the scene. So I'm going to show you what I would do to this. This one needs some work. So we're going to do Lightroom, and then we're going to go into Photoshop as well. So we'll start off with Lightroom. First thing I would do here in Lightroom is just, I think the crop and the horizon look pretty good, but I'll just start with that. I think that looks pretty good though. We don't have many issues there. Okay, and then going to come down here, a little bit of dehaze on there, just a little bit. Then chromatic aberration, I don't see any, but there's bound to be some. And then I'll try enabling the profile correction, see if I like that or not. But I kind of like the curve of the pier here. I like that little wonky look. We get a little glow off the water, so I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, so now back up here, I'm going to bring out the shadows, and wow, that's bright. Bring down the highlights. And okay, we have blown out some sky over here, but not too bad. I can fix that in Photoshop. So now looking at this, this is a little bright, but I'm still going to bring the whites up just because I don't have a white point over here, so I'm going to bring that up. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to take the exposure, and exposure, I think about it like it's the overall picture. A white point kind of just make sure there's a white point in the photo, so it gives it more contrast. It's another way to add contrast, basically. So now I'm going to bring down the exposure till it looks good to me. Just about like that. Maybe some contrast here. That pier's a little bright. I might even bring down the shadows a little bit. Okay. That looks pretty good. Colors are a little blah. Probably add some vibrance here. And I've said this before in another image. I don't like to add clarity to the whole image. It makes it look so crunchy. I don't like that. But anytime there's wood grain, textures, things like that, I do want clarity on those things. So hang on, I'm going to take this exposure down just a little. It's still looking a little bright to me. Okay, so now I am going to take an adjustment brush here, and I'm going to paint clarity on the pier. So I like to start with nothing here. Okay, so, and I do it both ways, but sometimes I go ahead and check this box so I can go ahead and paint in. I'm taking the auto mask off because that's just going to mess up a lot of this stuff, and I don't really need it. I'm not trying to get to the edges here. So now I'm just going to paint where I want the clarity. This does not have to be perfect, but do not go off the pier. You don't want any like white halos or anything like that. So that's when I would add in the auto mask after, if I want to, if I want to get a little more detailed. I don't think I need a lot of detail here, but just a little bit. This doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just adding just some texture, and I'll get some of this up here. Okay, that looks good. Let me just, for this I am going to turn on the auto mask just to make it a little easier to not go off the edge. The reason I don't like auto mask is because sometimes it's a little too precise and it colors in like a grainy kind of pattern that I don't like, but I use it on and off. But okay, I think that's pretty good. A little bit here, these posts here. I can always add more later because I'm going to do some work to these in Photoshop. I don't mind a little authentic graffiti, but we have a little much here. Okay, so that's good. Take that off now. And now we have this is all selected, but nothing's like done to this. So now I can just start adding it in. So first thing is clarity. I would want to pop. See, that's the thing. That's nice. That just adds this kind of just pop of clarity, and I don't even need that much. That looks nice. Now with a pier or wood grain, a lot of times I would warm it up too, especially at sunrise or sunset. So I'm not warming up the whole image, I'm just warming up the pier. Maybe a little contrast. And I think that looks good. A little saturation just to get that warmth. Okay, I think that's good. So that one's done. I'm actually going to add a little more. I don't want to go too much on the clarity because to me that's brightening up all this a little too much. I just want that kind of basically done, but I want this wood grain to pop a little more. So I'm going to do a new adjustment brush. And this one, I'm not even going to do the red paint. I'm just going to crank on the clarity here and just, so you can do it just depending how you want to do it with the adjustment brush. I do it a little different for each one. This one, I just want to kind of see what I'm doing, and see, I'm going to up the exposure on there. So now I've got clarity and exposure, but it's just on this part. And now I'm going to add it onto here. I just want it on these areas where I can, so I can see that detail up in there. Now it's worth mentioning that in order to get the most detail out of your images, you want to be shooting in RAW. That's a setting on your camera. If you're shooting in JPEG, it's like you just don't have as much detail, because what happens when you shoot in JPEG is your camera does some editing for you when you take the picture, and it throws away a lot of information. And so when you're editing, you want to have all that information. So just go to your camera. If you have even a basic, like a crop sensor, just a basic DSLR, they're all going to have an option of JPEG or RAW. And if you're not editing in Lightroom or Photoshop, you don't need to shoot in RAW, but if you're just doing like a basic editor, but if you really want to get a lot out of your images, you want to shoot in RAW. Okay, so that's done. Oh wait, hang on. Sorry, I don't know what's happening here. Where did we go? Okay. Okay. Thank you. It's doing its own thing. Okay, so done. Yeah, I said done. Okay, so now I feel like I'm finished in Lightroom here for now. We are going to head over to Photoshop with this image. So right click, edit in Photoshop. So now that's going to open it over there. I don't know what all that means. Some plugin that I need. It works fine, so I have no idea. And then you know, a lot of people do like Adobe Camera Raw and all this. I just use Lightroom and Photoshop. I keep it simple. I don't have time, you know, to figure out a lot of stuff. So sorry, I should have had Photoshop open. Okay, so here we go. We're in Photoshop. Now I'm going to duplicate the background just so if I mess up, I can get rid of that. So a couple issues we're going to deal with here in Photoshop. Too much graffiti on the walls here. We have some campers under the bridge I don't like. We got a lot of problems here. She is cool, but she's got a lot of clutter. I don't need her bag right there. We've got these people over here. Normally people are fine, but those just, they don't look like, they're too small. They just look like specks. And then we've got a blown out sky. So we've got some work to do here in Photoshop. So what I usually start with is this, what's it called? The healing, I'm sorry, spot healing brush tool. Okay, and if you ever need to open more tools, just press on that little arrow right there and it'll show you all the tools that are under one thing. And then up at the top here, it tells you, like when you pick one, this is all the things related to that one that you're doing. This is the tool that I use probably the most often in Photoshop, and that this just kind of gets rid of stuff. Sorry, I'm not very technical. I'm not like an expert or anything, so don't save your hate for someone else, because I'm not claiming to be an expert. I just get in here and mess around. Okay, so the bracket keys make it bigger or smaller. Okay, and then I just scroll in with my mouse. I have it set where I can scroll in with my mouse to make the image larger. Okay, so just get rid of these people. Okay, and that's good. Okay, and then I would clean up this. Well, I've got this tool. I'm going to just clean up the sand just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't need all this debris on the sand. That's just not, it's just a distraction. And I know a lot of people want to say, oh, well, that's how it was. Well, I don't care. It's not how it had to be. Maybe I just missed the beach cleanup people by a few minutes, and a few minutes later there wouldn't have been all this junk here. Okay, so that's good. Got that. Okay, so I just kind of roll around the image with this thing. Okay, yeah, now that's a sensor dust. Got to get with this too. And okay, I think that got some sensor dust. I did have my sensor cleaned recently, but I guess I just changed lenses at the beach too often, which, okay. So now this graffiti, I'm going to try to deal with it a little bit with this tool. Yeah, see, that works. The thing with this tool is you want to get the whole thing highlighted. You know, if you just do like that, oh, well, that worked. Sometimes it doesn't work as well, but okay. So like I said, I'm okay with a little bit of this sort of thing, but this post is too dominant in the image. Like, I don't want anybody to be, I don't want that to be so distracting. So I like how that looks. Okay, and then I'm going to get this out too. I don't like all this. And I'm going to take this out too. And it's just a personal decision. If you want to leave all that, you can. I just think it doesn't really add, for me, it just doesn't add enough like realism to the image, or there's just not enough point to it being there. See, that looks so much better. It still looks authentic and like but it just, we don't need all that junk on there. Okay, so I like that graffiti. That's cool. I'm gonna leave that. Okay, now let's get in here. What the hell is all this? And again, I don't want to just like go, you know, I want this to look kind of good, so you got to be careful about these lines and things, but just mess with it. See, that's not good. Okay, this is turning bad. Let me just see how that looks. And sometimes something will look a mess and then you scroll out and it's okay, but not in this case. So you can always just go here to your history and go back to where you messed it up. There it is. Wait. No. Okay. Yeah, that didn't go well. Okay, I'm going to try it again and just be a little more careful, but I might end up having to leave some of that just because, I mean, I could go into detail and clone it out, but I don't really want to spend a lot of time on that. But it just depends how much time you want to spend on it. So this one, I'm going to just get some of this stuff out and not worry about all of it. Okay. That looks pretty good. Yeah, now we're talking. Just have to, sometimes you can do a big chunk like that, but just sometimes it screws it all up. And then zooming out, that looks pretty good. Sometimes I just kind of mess with it a while, and I know there's other tools, but again, I'm just, it depends what you're doing with it too. A lot of this, see, I don't like this green here, that's too distracting, but I'm okay with Joey here. Those numbers, those are okay. I don't, it's these big chunks of black. I don't understand why they have to, like, what is that? Can't you actually write something? I'm okay with the A. I don't like that. Okay. I mean, I think I'm happy with all that. Okay. See, when you scroll out, that looks pretty good. I can kind of tell that there is some transition here, so I might just take my clone stamp and Alt to pick the source spot, and then where you're painting from, and then just, and I'll turn down the opacity there just to kind of fade into, there we go. That's gonna look better from it. Yeah, now we're talking. Okay, so now we're good on that anyway. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now we're gonna deal with, back to that spot healing brush. I don't want this here either. Okay, so her stuff here, she has all this junk here that I almost asked her to just put somewhere else to save me a little time, but I didn't want to. But that, see, that worked out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, now from a distance, I don't like this hanging down like that. I know that's just a small detail, and that is part of the like the hammock, I guess, folds up into that, but I'm gonna see if I can just take that out. Yes, okay, that looks good. Now we have these bridge dwellers under here. I'm just gonna see if I can get this out. And again, sometimes you have to back up and see if you're close enough here. Now, if you're printing this on a huge canvas, that's totally gonna be a different level of detail than if this is for like your Instagram or for a print or something. Okay, this is the clone stamp now, just to kind of get that a little bit. This is pretty far away, so even in a print, I think we'd be okay at this point. But I just can't have random campers under the pier in my image. I mean, they were nice, but they don't need to be in this picture. No, that's doesn't look right. Shit. Oh, okay, that's better. It was just not flat. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, let's go back. Maybe I'll leave it. It's just a blanket. That's a little better. Okay, let's just leave that alone. No, I hate it. I hate it, but it's like I want it to fill in with like something that looks more like water. I can't decide on that. Let's just leave it. That's fine. I got the chairs out so the blanket can stay. Okay. Okay, that's not so bad. And okay, I hate it. Sometimes stuff like this will drive me nuts. Whatever. Okay, this is for Instagram. So okay, so And it's far away. When you get it far away, it's like, okay, so what? They had a blanket up. Okay, so now I'm going to deal with this. Now I'm going to duplicate this layer again. So that's all my, and you can like name your layers if you want to. Double click on it and we could say that this was our healing brush. Okay, so then when you, like when you take it off and take it off, see it shows you what you've done here. We can see everything we got rid of with that tool. Okay, so now this will be, we'll call this the sky, because I don't know what I'm going to do with this sky. I'm hoping that I'm just going to, I like to do things kind of easy, and if anybody has, I'm not an expert, if anybody has tips for me or wants to be like, dude, you could do that so much easier, please enlighten me. I'm somewhat new to Photoshop, and I used to do everything in Lightroom, but then I just got to where I more wanted to fix these errors, so came into Photoshop. Okay, that's actually pretty good. So what I did there is I lassoed it, I did edit, fill, and then content aware, and that worked out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So now Control D to deselect that. I'm actually fine with that how it is. This is a little bit weird. I might take this spot healing brush, just kind of smooth that out. No, that didn't do anything. How about clone stamp? And the thing is, like, people might say I spent a lot of time on this, but I really enjoy it. This is not, okay, so that's clone stamp on, like, say 40%, just to kind of fade that out a little bit. I don't know. That looks good. Yeah, I enjoy this. This is fun for me. If I wasn't recording a video, I'd have maybe like a podcast on, or just be kind of having fun here with this. Okay, so now we can see what we've done to the sky here. We had and that's okay, but I don't like I don't really like blown out skies that much, because anytime something's really bright, it just draws your eye to it, and I want the focus to be on this girl right here. Okay, speaking of her, wait, where did her, oh, you know what I did? I backed up too far and didn't get her. When I was going back to correct that chair, I went back to before I fixed her thing. So let's fix that. Try that again. Hopefully it works out as well this time. See, it went perfect the other time. Okay, that's good. All right, so that's better. I just don't like all that clutter. Okay, so we're good on that. Now her hammock, I want her to be kind of a focal point of this image, and I'd like her hammock to be even a little bit bigger. It's not, I know this is like a minor detail, but I'm going to do another layer, and this is going to be liquify, and so I'm going to go here to filter, liquify, and that's going to open up this here, and I'm going to really zoom in here. Okay, and so these are just, again, these are minor details, but I don't love the shape of this hammock right now. So I'm just here on this little like warp tool. This is what it like defaults to, and I don't like that sharp angle right there is bugging me. So I'm just kind of smoothing that out. This, you just basically kind of just grab this and move it. Now I'm also just going to make it a little bigger because I don't want to warp the horizon there, but I just want this to be a little more of a focal point, and it's a little bit like thin, so, and then I'll kind of, wait, sometimes you grab the wrong spot and you gotta, these are just stuff you kind of just gotta play with to learn, like, okay, where do I grab it, what's the best way here. Okay, so I like that. Again, we're very zoomed in here, but in the entire image, this is kind of a small, these are very small things. Okay, so if I back out, see, I like that. That just kind of gives a hammock a better shape, a more smooth. And I know that's probably not 1000% necessary, but those are just little details. So, and you could say, well, that's not reality, but I mean, but what if she had been a larger person, the hammock would have been bigger. So it's like, it could be reality. But anyway, check off this preview thing and you can just see how I've just changed that shape of that hammock a little bit. And I just like that better. I just like the way it looks better. Okay, so now we're gonna just press OK. So now when we zoom out, we can just see when we take that off, we've just changed the look of the hammock a little bit. So I like that. Okay, so I think we are pretty good here in Photoshop. Now we're gonna go back into Lightroom. So I just press save, and then it's going to take us back to Lightroom with this. So I think it should, there it goes. Okay, so now, oh wait, no, that's Photoshop. Okay, so now it should, yeah, so now we're back in Lightroom and it's got our image here with everything we did to it in Photoshop. So now we're just going to do some last minute things in Lightroom and see, okay, because so now we've got a clean slate with all this, because this is a TIFF now. So we're basically just going to do our final things here. Okay, so I'm going to actually brighten this up just a little bit. I know it looks plenty bright, but that's because I'm going to end up doing a radial filter. I want to really focus in on her and darken everything out. I'm happy with the Pier and all the clarity on that. I think we could have a little more vibrance in this image, a little saturation, maybe not too much saturation. So I think color-wise that looks pretty good. And when we darken the edges, it's going to look even better. So, okay. So then I'm going to do a radial filter, because what I do is I kind of over brighten it. If I want to radial filter something, it means I'm going to kind of pick a focal point, and the rest, everything else is going to be darkened around this. So now you can do this with the post crop vignette, but it's just, it darkens, see how it darkens all the edges. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, I was just showing you. But the thing is, sometimes what you want people to look at isn't in the middle. So if it's in the middle, I would use that. But in this case, it's her that I want. So in that case, I'm going to use this radial filter right here. I'm going to put it right on the center here of her. And forget all that. That's just because I have that clarity on there. I'll fix that. Okay, so I'm just going to keep pulling. Okay. Wait. Okay, so yeah, no. Set that back. If whatever you had done last time, it'll reset to, but you can just reset it. Okay, so now we're just selecting her. There's nothing, no changes being made, but I'm just selecting the area. I do this pretty wide because when you can see, when you hover over it, it shows you what's being affected. So everything in red is going to be affected by your adjustment, and you can see the only thing not going to be affected is going to be this little area right here, and it fades off to here. So what I want to do is, everything in red is going to be affected by what I do here. So I'm going to darken, and see how if I go really dark, it's going to just show her. I don't want it that dramatic, but I just want it to slightly, that's going to give us like a sunset effect on the sky, maybe about like 32, yeah. Okay, so that's going to give us a sunset effect on the sky, and I may even do a little contrast, a little bit of saturation, and again, that's only affecting the stuff outside this circle. Maybe even a little more. Okay, that looks good. Hit done. Okay, so now as you can see, she's a little brighter. It's very subtle, but it's enough to draw your eye to her, which is what I'm going for, because wherever the brightest part is where your eye is going to go. That's even possibly a little much, but I can always just darken the entire image a little bit. There, okay, I like that. That's good. Because I definitely want it to be, it was sunrise. I think I keep saying sunset, but it was sunrise. Okay, now we are doing good here. Now I'm going to finish off with sharpening the image. I always do that last. I do it right about 100 unless there's some reason not to. And then the darker the image, and I put some masking on there just to mask out the areas that don't have a lot of detail, like these areas in the sky. It'll just not sharpen those basically. And then luminance, my favorite slider, but a lot of people hate it and don't use it at all because it makes everything look a little cartoonish, but I like cartoons. Okay, so put that at about 20, and I think I'm happy with that. What do you think? So yeah, I think I'm good with that. So we are, that's our image, and then you can do your backslash key to see before. I think it's the backslash key. Hold on. Oh, actually, this isn't the whole, sorry, forget that. This isn't the whole image, just because we took this from Photoshop, so it's only showing us what we did since we came to Photoshop. But I'll have the raw image next to the final in the blog post. So I hope you like this video, and sorry if it's not like professional top quality. It's only my second video ever, so hopefully these will get a little better. Have a great day.